All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We're still discussing the state of the race or elections countdown. 25 days to go. A lot is going on. And Herman Manyora, professor for political commentator, is here with us. And Danstan Omari, advocate of the High Court, is also still here with us. And Joshua Kipto, Nandi County Assembly Speaker, is joining us live from Eldoret. Joshua, you had the right of reply in terms of how the political arithmetic is going to play out in Nairobi. You said it's most likely going to be a mix and match, but they say this is definitely going to go the other way.
Thank you very much. With all due respect to my senior panelist, when you hear them, you will think the election is 6 months away. You wouldn't imagine we have 21 days or 3 weeks at most before we vote in the next general election. Something I would want to point them at, even if you were to refer to the opinion polls. 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 6 months ago, you could see that the number of undecided was huge and significant. That number is dwindling pretty fast. And there is no longer any voter out there that you would find a group saying that they are yet to decide who to vote for. If that is the position, then I don't know where my senior panelists are getting the idea that, for example, in Kisii or Nyamira, that Raila gets 70-80%. It has never happened. Even when he was very strong in 2017 in the two regions. There's something beautiful about Kisii and Nyamira since 2002. The last time they voted as a bloc was 2002 when they voted for Simeon Nyachae, who was a sign of the soil. But 2007, 2013, 2017, and figures don't lie. It's not even an opinion, it's facts. It's always a split. Even being a CORD stronghold, a NASA stronghold, Jubilee still poll better. And this time we've agreed with them that William Ruto is going to do better than Jubilee in those areas. So if Jubilee was getting up to 40% in Kisii, what makes them feel that we were not getting 45% in Kisii? So where is the 70-80% coming from? Number two, you come to Mount Kenya, there is the question of what impact Martha Karua has had. True, there has been an impact, but how much, how significant, how much movement can we talk about as had happened in the Mount Kenya region? I don't think it is too significant. I'm even excited about the debate coming up for the deputy presidents. I remember when the debate for the gubernatorial of Nairobi was coming up, the Azimio Brigade were all over the place saying how Igathe will whitewash Sakaja. And I think the moment the debate happened, the rest is history. It was a bloodbath, and I think Azimio are yet to recover from that fact. And I don't think much will change about Igathe versus Sakaja. They keep talking about a machinery. Where is this machinery? If you look at campaigns, the Kenya Kwanza team, without any single government support, has single-handedly bested Azimio 2-1. For every one event done by Azimio, Kenya Kwanza does 2 or 3. So the Azimio team are playing catch-up. So I'm wondering, I keep hearing machinery. 3 weeks, they need to wake up and smell the coffee. Time is up. And what we've done so far so good, if you look at the dynamics so far so good, Kenya Kwanza has presented a manifesto that is unmatched. Whereas Azimio is basically giving the usual traditional saying that they're going to do 1, 2, 3 development. Kenya Kwanza is speaking to the hearts and minds of Kenyans, and that's why I think they're ahead, because they're speaking to the crisis we have about the economy. When a Kenyan feels the pinch, the go-to candidate who they refer to and see a solution coming is the Kenya Kwanza team. And that is why you could see even during the debate, not even the debate, during the launch of Kenya Kwanza manifesto, Azimio team had to scramble Wajakoya basically to come distract, because they know the messaging of Kenya Kwanza. So from my analysis and my response to the team, we are 3.5 weeks away. I'll be very happy to even sit with Prof and my senior, Danstan Omari, on election night. And I'm sure the figures will actually surprise them. If you talk about Western, and that's one as I finish, Western, Herman Manyora is talking about we have not touched. I'll surprise him. Bungoma is gone. Bungoma is Kenya Kwanza, 70-75%. Then Vihiga, by virtue Mudavadi being a principal in Kenya Kwanza, definitely that would mean we are picking Vihiga. So the only two counties remaining would be Busia and Kakamega, and that's a statistical dead hit. How comes the gubernatorial candidate for Azimio has not been able to pull away from Cleophas Malala? if someone is going to vote for Cleophas Malala, that person is definitely going to vote for William Ruto, because that's a joint ticket. It is UDA ticket. So that would mean, as it stands right now, the gubernatorial race in Kakamega is 50-50.
Okay.
That means then, even when it comes to presidential, it is 50-50.
All right.
So that means we have picked enough votes we need in the areas and still maintain a stranglehold over Mount Kenya and Rift Valley.
All right, now Kenyans will decide this
Yes,
on the 9th of August. But either way, there's a referee in between there. And
Correct.
that referee had a conversation with journalists yesterday in the issue of trust.
Let me just say a thing or two before you go there.
Yes.
Just to inform my friend Kipto, when I talk of machinery, they quickly jump to state machinery. They think it is deep state. I said there's Mio machinery, and it is true, and anybody here would know. Raila has not moved in Nairobi. Have you heard of Nairobi, Raila in Nairobi? I mean, just when he was launching his campaign. But to campaign, which he might do in due course, that is a machinery, activating the Azimio machinery to campaign for himself and for Igade. At that time, Sakaja will disappear. Now, secondly, I'm talking about the contradictions.
Yeah.
When we say Kisi Raila is getting to 80, then Kipto says it has never happened. So then, if it has never happened, fine, it has never happened. How that numbers don't lie, so it has never happened. How are the numbers lying when it comes to Kakamega now? Because you are now saying in the Western, Ruto is doing what has never been done. So now numbers are allowed to lie when we go to Western, so that now Ruto gets numbers that, it doesn't add up. The idea is, but even then, as he says, Ruto is doing well. He has not disputed the fact that he has not upstaged Raila. And for your information, as he mentions Bungoma, something small happened a few days ago. What William Ruto said about Eugene Wamalwa, the reference to Eugene Wamalwa as a woman, has hurt the Luhya communities, particularly the Bungoma people, so much that that slight edge they had in Bungoma has more or less disappeared. And when they go into the election, they will regret those words from William Ruto.
Okay, but Mari, before we move into IBC.
Being a Kisii from Nyamira County, West Mugirango constituency, let me tell my colleague this. One, the Kisii vote all this time has been between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, not William Ruto. 2013, William Ruto never added a vote from Kisii to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Neither in 2017 did William Ruto get any vote to the Jubilee basket. So the people have been taking the Raila Odinga and William Ruto, that is Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, that is 100% of the Kisii vote. They are in the same basket.
But how can that be true and yet they were running as a pair?
I'm saying,
in fact, let me
correct it.
Yeah.
We have our own issues with William Ruto as Kisiis. You'll ask every Kisii, remember we are neighbors. We will tell you that we have always had a soft spot for President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, add the 3 to CS Matiang'i coming into the fold. So that's why I'm telling Kipto that William Ruto will get a very minimal percentage in Kisii, not as William Ruto, but from the people he has given tickets to contest in UDA zones. And that is what I'm trying to say, that let them assess the impact of CS Matiang'i in the Gusii politics when he came in, and see the dynamics that are coming. So if the Gusii are doing the other, you covered my meeting with all the old councillors in Kisii. All of them, CS Matiang'i has rallied them towards one cause. We have several meetings. We are trying to galvanize and clear Kipto's candidate out of Gusii land. Not in terms of anything, but in terms of the percentage they will get. So in my own position, as I'm telling you, Trevor, and as I'm telling you, as I'm telling Kenyans, the deciding vote where it is now, it is in the next 2 weeks that my good professor is saying it's not the deep state going down. It is now everybody moving down in a well coordinated campaign
Yeah.
strategy to completely change the narrative that Kiptoo is doing. But I wish him all the best.
Okay.
And I should invite him to West Mugrango constituency
Yeah.
so that we do the analysis from there, so that he will see the
Yeah.
difference I'm telling him now and what it was the other time.
You wanted to add something before I bring Kiptoo?
No, I thought we were going to the other debate of
Yes,
the
we are
IEBC,
going to
but,
IEBC right now.
When he was talking about Ruto and Kisii,
Yeah.
at some point in 2017, there was talk of Ruto being asked not to go there. He would spoil for Jubilee. I think you remember that. That Ruto should not go to Kisii. He would spoil for Jubilee. Let Uhuru himself go. That talk was very current in 2017.
Yes.
I was just supporting what he's saying.
Yeah. He never stepped. He stepped once at Nyamarambe with Obingo Magara.
Yeah.
That was the last time he appeared.
Okay.
The only candidate who campaigned for Jubilee in Kisii was Matiang'i and the president.
Okay.
And even now, that's what I'm saying, I'm advising him, let them allow those ones who are there to campaign for the UDA.
Okay. Kiptoo, a right of response before we talk about the IEBC and the interview you had with journalists. That was Wafula Chebukati and Hussein Marjan. Kiptoo?
I think my right of response is no candidate, and I think Azimio are deluded to think that they are picking areas 70-80%. Maybe we'll just give them the traditional Luo Nyanza stronghold, but outside the 4 Luo Nyanza stronghold, the Kisii, Nyamira, it is a different ball game. And I think we are bedeviling so much with the past. If you talk about William Ruto and Kisii, they're talking about issues of 2002, 2007. Let us be honest about that. But beyond those 2 periods of time, come to 2013, 2017, let us look at the votes that Jubilee got. I think it is impossible for someone to say you get a vote because of Uhuru Kenyatta. That one is not the case. It is a fact that was a dual coalition. That was a duopoly between the president and the deputy president. Number 2, let's look at the candidates, because if indeed William Ruto is very unpopular in Kisii and Nyamira, how comes the UDA candidates are polling very well? Look at Kisii governor race. Look at what Ezekiel Machogu, the MP Nyaribari Chache is doing. And that one is without even the help of the deputy president. Look at Akina Silvanus Osoro and the rest. So you want to tell me that whatever vote they are galvanizing for their respective races cannot translate to votes for the deputy president? I don't think that is true. And even if we are to use the opinion poll that my senior is using, the same applies. It shows how clear. If indeed they are doing 70-80%, then we wouldn't be 2-3 percentage point difference between the 2 coalitions. So as a matter of fact, I'll be very happy and willing to even have this analysis in West Mugrango. I'm just warning Danstan Omari. In 2016, in the US, Hillary Clinton had the same attitude, and they were operating from a point of Donald Trump is nothing. I think this is the most consequential election we've gone into as a republic in Kenya, and the shock that awaits more or less people who believe that Kenyans can always be shepherded in a particular way, especially the traditional way of voting, then this is the election that will prove otherwise. This is the first time elections we are doing based on agenda, based on issues. Look at how Kenya Kwanza has forced Azimio to change its tune and even copy-paste. Every time you find Azimio trying to copy what Kenya Kwanza is selling. For example, on the hustler narrative, when you talk about cost of living, that has been the agenda that Kenya Kwanza has made it the main agenda for this election. Azimio was on unity. Azimio was talking about governance. What has made them change? And right now, even you find Martha Karua speaking about we want to reduce cost of living. You find Peter Munya, who is the Minister of Agriculture, the irony, saying that when they come in, they will change. Matiang'i, for example, talking about security. He is in charge at the moment. So this is the consequential election where Kenya Kwanza will prove that the Kenyan election or the Kenyan voter has decided to focus on what can put food on the table.
Okay.
And the manifesto and the agenda that sells when it comes to that is the manifesto for Kenya Kwanza.
All right, I want us to talk about the referee in this whole race. That's the IEBC. They had a chat with journalists yesterday. That is Wafula Chebukati, the chairperson, and Hussein Marjan, talking about several issues. But before that, let's get your feedback at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Let's bring that up really quick before we move, change topics. Bobo Tieno Wino says, I don't trust opinion polls because the name itself is an opinion. is a suspect. You can't hold them responsible if results goes otherwise. Okay. Okello Mwalimu says there's no doubt that Ruto's popularity has faded over time. But why? Number one, initially he was running all alone. By then he was at over 70%. Number two, choice of Rigathi as running mate did more damage than good. Number three, Wajakoya's entry meant Ruto lost the so-called hustlers. Okay. Engineer Lazaro says the naked truth, Martha Karua narrative shifted ground from traditional Kenya Kwanza stronghold Mount Kenya region to be battleground, Rift Valley's cosmopolitan. My friend, ignore opinion polls at your own peril. Okay. KCG, you call yourself. Dansan Omari is lying blatantly without blinking eyes that Azimio is at 80% in Kisii and Nyamira County. In fact, UDA is going to lead in Nyamira and scores 35% in Kisii County. Okay? Newmat says, please ask Manyora and Omari, which is this Mount Kenya do they speak of? Why don't they ask us who are from the mountain? Here everyone is Rutonated. Okay? Apora says, Joshua Kipto should know this. In 2017, a good number of NASA supporters voted for Sakaja, but their presidential vote went to Raila. On the 9th of August, I see the same thing happening. Sakaja might win in Nairobi, but on presidential, Baba will definitely crush Ruto. Okay. 25 days to go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be an interesting time. Let's talk about the referee in this whole race, the IEBC. They spoke yesterday, and there's a lot of issues that came up. One of them was the queries of award of Kim's Kids tender, and this is what Wafula Chebukati had to say about this issue. All right, that soundbite is coming up in just a bit. But before we get there, let's talk about the trust issue first of all. Prof, do you trust IEBC to conduct a free, fair, credible, verifiable polls and elections on the 9th of August?
Trevor,
what are the issues you have with them?
Trevor, this lady is in the maternity. We must deliver, baby. That's where we are now. Mama lazima azae. That's where we are. The question of whether IEBC is prepared, that is now out of our hands. We have to have the election. We'll have to make the best of what we have.
Okay.
We will make do with what we have. It's not now the time to question whether or not IEBC can conduct a free, fair, and blah, blah, blah election. Those questions should have been raised earlier. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, I raised the red flag, and I was bashed left, right, center, as the cliche would go. I said, are we ready for the election of 2022? Let us postpone this election. By talking about postponement, I was actually dramatizing what I had in mind. I wanted to provoke people into a national conversation regarding the preparedness of us as Kenyans for this election.
Yeah.
You know why people bashed me? And they were from the other side of the divide, the Ruto side. They had seen they were going to State House. Mm-hmm. There was absolutely no obstacle. Like a good player who should give a pass to another player, seeing the goalkeeper is not in the goal and does not see the need to give a pass. Then they pop above the bar. That was the time to talk about whether IEBC was prepared or not. Not now. Now it's too late.
Yeah.
Let us make do with what we have. Let us go into this election.
Yeah.
And let us accept the results. If people are not happy for some reasons, they can cite the reasons, let them go to the Supreme Court. But we cannot talk about IEBC now.
Omari, Prof says it's too late, but the same company that was given the tender for this kits, this mathematic company, in itself had concerns, and this is what Wafula Chebukati had to say about this yesterday when he was asked about this same company that allegedly has a tainted record. Listen to this.
Did you know that the Cybercrime Investigation and the Coordinating Center, CICC, in the Philippines after the 2016 elections called on this mathematics? It compromised the elections which led to the election of President Rodrigo Duterte. Did you know that in Uganda, the biometric voter kits failed, forcing the election officials to revert to the manual voter system? Did you know that in Venezuela, in Latin America in 2017, Smartmatic on its own acknowledged that the turnout voter figures were manipulated by at least 1 million voters? Did you establish this before you awarded the contract?
No, because I rely on the evaluation committee after they do the due diligence and they provide me with the report. That is what I rely on. And therefore, these other news about that you are providing now are things that I was not even aware about.
So the report you awarded never cited these issues?
These issues were never cited.
But this is a company that is seriously indicted by a cybercrime agency of a country.
This, I think, it would require the company to respond, because I don't have a...
But you're already in agreement with them?
Yes, it's because this information did not even come to our attention. You are actually saying that, and it's not even confirmed. This probably will be based on information that you've been able to search, maybe from the internet and the rest. And I think it would be proper at this particular time if this question can be actually directed to the respective company for them. No. I cannot speak on their behalf.
You still insist
I had
has to be delivered?
I had wanted to talk about that,
yeah,
but you pushed me into trust when the clip couldn't play. I watched this thing up to the last, until the end. I was very disappointed. This response from the CEO reminds me of Ali Makwere, Ali Chirao Makwere, something like that, Zipapa. When asked why he wasn't dealing with the mess in the matatu industry as Minister for Transport, I don't know whether you remember, he said even he had a matatu and occasionally it would get into problems. But what struck me and what parallel I'm drawing with is that as the minister, what can he do? I mean, he relies on... So I kept asking myself, then why are you there? Why was Michuki effective? Yeah. And this is the one thing public officers are missing. The way Marijan is answering that question is to suggest we don't need a CEO there. We don't need a CEO. Work can just be done by clerks. You see what I'm saying? Why are you there drawing those millions? Why are you taking taxpayers' money if you say you just rely? As a CEO of such an important body, overseeing the elections that could plunge the country into chaos, knowing procurement is what sent Oswago home. What was he called? Oswago, the former CEO. You mean you can just engage with a company without even taking the personal initiative to get to know about a company you want to give such an important tender to? Why are you a CEO? I was so mad I went to bed 2 hours I couldn't sleep because I love this country. A man like this is in the wrong job. Yeah. You can see how cold he is. I relied on due diligence from procurement people. Kwani walikuwa wananunua biro pen? Walikuwa wananunua tissue ya kutumia kwa ofisi? This is something that can take the country right into the... I don't know what I can say. You can't be a CEO and talk like that. Okay. Look, you have to know certain things. Yeah. So this young man is asking, did you know it? My friend, oh, please, this country has a problem.
Yeah, but Omari, it's the process that led to the nullification of the vote in 2017, really, and now this is still the issue there. What is your view based on how they responded in terms of saying we did not know that the firm that has been contracted had a tainted record?
I totally differ with the professor. The CEO did exactly what I could have done if I sat there as the CEO for IEBC. Why? This is information. The source of Ayub, my good friend at K24, did a very good job to ask that question. The questions presented to the IEBC commissioners is a total ambush. One, there was due diligence that was done. If the media got this information, that information could have been submitted to the IEBC at the right time during the time for due diligence.
They have an entire tender committee, Omari.
But I'm saying, was this information credible? The question that a journalist has put a question out of a cyber crime of a country saying there was this question.
Several countries, about 3 of them.
About 4. Elections are different. If a winner takes, if the election of 2017, you gave Baba that time, what was the indictment of the IEBC? It was very different. So the losers will create stories, and those stories, just like the judges, I'm telling you, an IEBC is just like a court. One party must go home shedding tears, one party must go to the village celebrating. So the people who lost in those countries might have complained of allegations. I expected a judgment of a court in Philippines. I expected a judgment of a Supreme Court in Uganda. I expected a judgment of a court in Venezuela. None of them. It is reports either by the civil society, by activists, by the losers, by everything. The CEO Marjan put it very clearly. Due diligence was done. And proper due diligence was done. We relied on these. These are stories created. And therefore, my take to Kenyans is this. And this is, you'll add me 2 minutes. What is the legal procedures to a fair, transparent, accountable, transparent, and verifiable elections? During the process, we are in the process. We will have the elections being done on 9th. Kenyans never finished there. The Constitution provides that IBC is not likely to be 100% perfect. If you are dissatisfied, we have now court processes, election petitions. If Kenyans were expecting 100% of elections to be conducted by IBC perfectly, we couldn't be having courts. Let me, Trevor, congratulate the Judicial Service Commission. I've just received here that they have nominated 7 more judges to the Court of Appeal. So, Manyora, anybody going to raise an issue? The lawyers are 21,000. The judges in the Supreme Court are complete 7. Already the Court of Appeal has an addition of 7. The high courts are ready, the magistrates are ready.
Okay.
Let us not deal with the question of IBC to the point as if we are in 2007.
Okay.
The IBC will do perfect job. It will do a few mistakes. Those mistakes, take them to an election court. If you are an MCA in West Mogrango Ward, go to Nyamira Court.
Okay.
Your case will be heard there. If you are raising a question, like Kipto, I'm sure he's going to raise an issue, when we whitewash Kemosi in West Mogrango, let him not go to cause chaos. Let him go to court. So my position is IBC with the funds it was given. Remember, IBC was funded just the other day. IBC of 2013 compared to IBC of 2017-1, 2017-2, then IBC of 2022, Kenyans raise our hands and support the IBC to deliver the results. If there's a dispute, move to court.
Kipto, what is your view on the response by IBC that they did not know about the farm's tainted record while awarding the KM's tender?
Danstan Omari, that we are going to raise and complain. Kenya Kwanza, we are focused on campaigning and we are satisfied with IBC. In fact, if there's a team that has been crying fall and being scared of a loss, and now they're trying to bedevil it on IBC, it is Azimio. But coming quick to the issue that you raised about Kimskit and the rest, one of the issues I've been raising significantly about IBC is communication. I want first to appreciate what they're doing. This is exactly what I asked, and I said it will go a long way when they create an open platform of engaging Kenyans through the media and the stakeholders, in this case the parties or the coalitions involved in this election, including candidates. That platform, that communication platform, goes a long way to fuse confidence into the process. I'll agree with Dunston that IBC of 22 compared to the past 2 elections, this one at least they are open and they're taking in hard questions. However, issue of competence and preparedness comes into play, and that is why I was insisting on this open communication. The moment you have these open sessions, you are able to see where the possible problems can arise. I will not be the person of saying let us wait for court cases to solve these issues. Some of these issues can be solved right now, and I think I will still give IBC a clean bill of health, but there's a lot they need to work on. If you talk about Kimskit, they need to settle this matter once and for all, because it has been it has been a pending issue over and over again, which again touches on the issue of the voter register. Are we then accepting, because the chairman had made it clear that we are doing electronic register, did they answer the concern or the issue raised by Azimio of saying, let's have a backup of a manual register? And I think the CEO had answered competently. The CEO previously had mentioned that we can generate a manual register from the electronic register. Did they address that question? How does it give confidence when it comes to such register vis-a-vis the KIMS kit? That is the question, and I think should be their focus between now and let's say Monday, because we have a very small timeline. The issue of KIMS kit has to be completely put to bed. Number two, I agree with the commission chair that the work when it comes to procurement, it is a work of the secretariat. It didn't come out well yesterday when you could see an element of backpassing between the two, where the chair was directing the issue of procurement to the secretariat, which is the law, which is the true position, but you could see the CEO coming back and say, we also rely on the evaluation committee. I would want the CEO, who is competent and appear very much in charge, to take responsibility. At this point, there will be no room for the journalists to go look for the procurement committee or the evaluation committee. No, he is the CEO. He is in charge. He is the spokesperson for the secretariat. He is the one who can speak with authority and say, I'm confident of my team, the evaluation team did the right thing, and I'm sure whatever we've procured can work. But saying, for example, that we...
Network.
Technology issues there. We'll get back to Kipto in just a bit. But there's also another concern that came through your technology that we're talking about, the KIMS kit.
But before you go there, I think I want to talk about what I think he was going the right way.
Yeah.
Where him and I think are agreeing. It's only Danson Omari who, because lawyers are people who think everything must be put in certain ways, in legal terms, with evidence, with what. I keep telling lawyers, common sense is king. Common sense, my friend, is king. Don't say things the way I court of judgment, what. What I'm not saying that the things that young man is saying are true in Venezuela, in the Philippines, Uganda, I don't know where else. What I'm saying, the response from the CEO is baffling. If those things the young man is saying, I knew him when he was at the other Ebro TV, I think. If what the young man is saying is not true, is like the way you are putting, that's why Kenyans want to hear from the CEO.
Yeah.
Look, these things, we have read about them and we have tried to understand. They don't seem to have any basis. They could not have stopped, even if at the time of giving, we didn't know this, which is a terrible oversight. But even if we had known, that could not have stopped. Because we have since tried to verify these things and they are neither here nor there. You don't talk about that. Gives people confidence that there's a CEO occupying that seat. By the way, he's saying, ask the company. My friend, how do you expect Kenyans to? But I've said, the baby is in the maternity ward. The ladies in the maternity ward, we expect a baby. Let's not go into the details.
Yeah.
But
even then, IBC chairperson spoke about profiling, because this is a time when they're all under fire. Listen to what he had to say in terms of the profiling of IBC staff, especially the ones in charge of ICT, which is part of what we're talking about.
Well, I've not been to Wetangula's home, but I don't think then that issue, I look at it as profiling myself, and this seems to be an ongoing thing. There is a deliberate move to profile staff of IBC, commissioners, staff, and it is a serious social campaign ongoing, and it's actually very sad that at this point in time then you have people who are hell-bent on trying to profile commissioners, staff, so for purposes which we don't understand. So I think it's unfortunate, and I think it's an issue then that people who are behind it need to stop. Let me put it this way. If you look at even our staff in the commission, especially ICT and election, they are now frightened because of so many, you see in this, most of the media, I mean the press, the gutter press you see their photos on all of these gutter presses, social media posts.
Okay.
And it's coming at this time where now our staff are afraid. Don't forget, it was around this time on the 28th of July, 5 years ago, when our ICT staff was murdered. And this then becomes a very, very frightening moment that you have the chairman of the commission, commissioners, staff then being profiled. And I think it is... I just want to urge the people behind it.
Chairman, so you would basically...
Stop doing what they're doing.
Prof, should we cut them some slack and see whether they most likely are prepared? 25 days to go, wait for the outcome and then give a view.
That's what I'm trying to say here. But sometimes you journalists, you don't seem to... You see,
just say
sometimes I don't like the way you interview people. You make people get away with a lot.
Okay.
So let's isolate two things there. One is the profiling.
Yeah.
It's wrong. This is a very sensitive period. You get somebody's picture or image and put it on social media, and you are associating them with rigging and ICT manipulation at IBC.
Yeah.
You're putting them at risk. So that profiling is wrong. And the media must act responsibly, whether social or mainstream. And government must move in at a time like this. If people are doing those kind of games, even if they are petty small social media, the government must deal with them. There must be laws to deal with them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, has Chebukati met Wetangula or he has not met him? That was the question.
He said he's never met.
No, but that's, you see, why is this now going into that profiling? Because the person asking the question didn't make the follow-up question that was now necessary. You haven't been to Wetangula's home, but have you met him? Particularly, have you met him anywhere else in Karen or somewhere else in Nairobi other than his house? That was the question they should have asked. Then he would not have gone around this thing. He would be trembling there because maybe he has met him. To you journalists, munafanya kazi mbaya.
Omari, what do you think?
Well, let me also deal with the two questions. The question of profiling. The chairman of the IBC and all those IBC staff who are listening to us here should know that they will be profiled. Let us not hide that. They will be profiled by politicians and by supporters who come from there. Let them know that they are sitting to preside a dispute between people who want to control power, and those people will do anything to taint them, to make them look bad, but that does not need them to be scared. They took an oath to dispense the elections management without fear or favor.
Yeah.
If they are cowards, they could have kept off. And I'm telling them that they are sitting on a hot seat from now until 6 months after the elections, when the election petitions are over. So let the CEO, let the chairman motivate the young people who have just been recruited, the new commissioners who have come in, that the political heat is becoming more hotter and more hotter. But more than that, if there is profiling for the purpose of bringing hatred, for the purpose of bringing despondence, the law should take its own course. The DPP, the DCI, and all government agencies have a mandate Kenyans gave them, that anybody bent on doing any criminal act or any act that can cause a problem to the proper management of elections, that person should be arrested, that person should be taken to court. So that does not... He has raised another second question. One of their staff on such a time was murdered. That is Musando. We don't need a repeat of that. That was a security lapse. The type of security these people need to be given for now must be serious security, because in the event of such a repeat occurrence, then the credibility of election dies. The last issue he has raised, it was the issue of, what was the other? There were third issues. Profiling.
Wetangula.
At Wetangula. There is nothing wrong meeting anybody. It is the purpose of the meeting. Wetangula comes from the region where Nani comes from, either Bungoma or where. They might have boarded a matatu together when they were going to school. They might have met in a wedding. They might have met, okay, for example, when they were doing election issues. There is nothing wrong for Kenyans to meet. And let Kenyans know like this, there's a time people are saying the judges cannot eat. Where are they going to eat? Because they must eat in a public place.
Okay.
They must go into a supermarket.
Okay.
So, for example, if Wetangula was in a supermarket, and Chebukati was in a supermarket, will Chebukati see Wetangula, not say hello to him? Let us not trivialize issues, Professor. Let us be honest that the IBC is prepared to conduct elections. I'm telling you, it's not about lawyers. It is about seeing the bigger picture.
But that's how they are.
The bigger picture is Chebukati, you have a responsibility to deliver credible elections.
Okay.
Any dispute out of your decision, let everybody go to court.
All right, Kipto, 25 days to the polling day. Do you have confidence in the IBC? Do you have Kipto back?
Because as it stands, there is no other IBC that is going to conduct an election. We are not in a place where to discuss whether it's an option. It's a must that the current IBC team is down to conduct an election. They have done what they can. And despite the challenges or hiccups, no organization can claim perfection. It is unfair to expect perfection from the team. The only difference is the expectation we gave them. That learn from the previous nullification of presidential election in 2017. And that is why you see hard questions being raised at this point. I agree with Danston Omari that the IBC team must develop a thick skin. This is the time that everything will be thrown at them. The profiling will happen. We will be scrutinizing them. You know Kenyans very well. They always wait for your second name. We want to know where you take your meal, who you converse with. So the next 25 days, that is what will be in for the commissioners and the secretariat led by the CEO. That is why the mark of leadership is seen at this point, and that is why I was making a point before I was cut off, that the CEO has to take responsibility for the secretariat, protect your team, the directors and the rest, protect them. Have the confidence of the public that whatever has happened under your team, you have full control, you are in charge, and the buck stops with your office. Let the commissioners, led by chair, take their stand and be able to take responsibility for the overall decisions of the commission, because the secretariat implements decision or resolution adopted by the commission. So whatever the commission adopts or resolves, the secretariat will have to implement. So let the commission chair, that is Chebukati, and the rest of the commissioners have the confidence and know that this is a make or break election.
Okay.
This will be the first time, for example, we are breaking the chain of accusation and counter-accusation. If these elections goes well, you are sure in 2027 there will be less suspicion, there will be less trust issues. Kenyans would focus more on selling the agenda. Lastly, I would want to think that the communication bit for IBC, with 25 days to go, I would even want the communication be more. Can we upscale it to even once every 2-3 days? There is this open session. They can even segment the issues, that every session, because we have several journalists coming to the table, let us segment the issue based, so that if, for example, in the next 2 days, let's say on Friday, they'll be dealing purely on the issue of register and concerns raised by the stakeholders on whether to use electronic or manual. They deal with that, so that in 2-hour session, we conclusively deal with the matter. As at the time we'll be going to election, 14 days to the election, you will find that most of the issues have been dissipated and Kenyans have confidence, because the more we converse, the more we ask questions, the more we discuss these issues are able to resolve. Okay. But I think on a balance of probability, I'll give them a thumbs up. I think, for example, as Kenya Kwanza, you haven't seen us complaining much. We raise an issue, if it is sorted, we are comfortable and we're okay with it. And I'm happy with the idea that every coalition has a liaison team. Kenya Kwanza is represented by Professor Kithure Kindiki, and you've even seen him crying foul. He's been raising issues and we've been following through. We write a petition or a memorandum, we issue a presser, we follow through, and we are satisfied that IBC has been responding promptly to the issues raised. The chair said it well, that every issue raised by the respective coalitions have been addressed. If that is the trajectory, then I'm confident that these elections will be more or less free, fair, compared to the previous elections we have. And we don't expect to go Supreme Court on matters processes.
All right.
Let us go to Supreme Court on issues raised and where there are credible concerns. But I'm confident that now that we are in to serve Danston Omari and Herman Manyora more or less a political lesson, this time Danston Omari will be appearing in this case for the petitioner in the Supreme Court, and on our side will be the respondents, having been declared the winning coalition coming to the 22 election.
Okay. Let me bring up some of your feedback as we wind up on this. I'll give you a chance for closing this. Yes.
Please give me just 1 minute. It doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Around 1990-91, thereabout,
Yeah.
there was a by-election in Kiharu. And Matiba, I think, had been expelled from Kanu, so there was that by-election. I don't know what had happened to Dr. Julius Gikonyo Kiano. He had fallen out with Moi, so he had been in the cold. But now he participated in the by-election against a guy called Gidraf, I think, Mwaru. I can remember. So immediately after the elections, and the counting, I think, was just over, actually, the media approached Dr. Gikonyo Kiano, God rest his soul. Ask him, how was the election? Oh, it was wonderful. This is a good election. Blah, 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 blah. As it moves ahead, the returning officer gets out, the DC, to announce. And they announce Gidraf Mwaru. So for Joshua Kipto, my friend, I would want to look at your face on the 10th of August as you'll be talking about IBC having rigged this election. My friend, don't be overgenerous with the words. My friend,
Okay.
take care.
Okay. Let's bring up some of your feedback.
But IBC, like I've said, I like what Kipto has said.
Yeah.
It's in agreement with what I'm saying.
Okay.
And we are looking at this thing the same way. We are saying we have IBC is like a woman in a labor ward. She must deliver.
Okay.
And we need to support IBC to the extent possible.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a lot of feedback coming through. Let me read through some of them at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak, and we'll see if my director allows me to take closing remarks when we wind up there. Frank Orinde says Ruto has campaigned for the longest time alone since 2018. Now that the other players have come to the field, things are changing, grounds are shifting, and Kenyans are getting into a position to make informed decisions. Okay. Mohammed says, we all know opinion polls are always pro-Raila. We even know about Infotrak Angela Ambido, who always put Raila in the lead since 1997, but always ends up losing. Kenyans are wiser than before, okay? Mweresa says the issue of Gusii votes is as a whole stands with the electorates themselves. We are voting individuals based on what they'll do for the larger Gusii region. 50-50 affair for me, and Omari and Herman should not bury their heads in the sand. Okay. Kevin Chelal says the issue is Raila forgot that we have Rift Valley, meaning even if he wins, we will never see the national cake. Also, Raila only goes to his strongholds. He also forgets the northern part of Kenya, like Turkana, Marsabit, Moyale has been there, though, but still, that's your own view. Remy Butia says IBC hasn't fulfilled the requirements of the law regarding the testing of equipment, results transmission, voter register, and IBC's insistence of electronic voting and result transmission systems, and do away with the manual register. Still continues to say the August elections will be about Ruto, man of the people, versus Odinga, king in waiting. The science of public surveying is in something of a crisis right now. Okay. Bob Otieno says IBC should be given full support to conduct a credible election. The people crying about elections, why haven't they been pushing for Kriegler report? Okay. Ian Kisa says the IBC CEO has been given powers by the law, PPA 2015, to accept or reject the evaluation committee recommendations for awards. That revelation by Marjan was very, very telling of the casualness he handled that critical matter. Or you call yourself Kenya Kwanza. You say opinion polls are never right. In the past 4 elections, they were wrong. What makes Manyora think Raila will win? He will lose with a margin of not less than 2 million. Even rigging will be impossible. Okay. Chaluwood Rosie says IBC through Chebukati wants to make us believe that they are fully ready to conduct the forthcoming elections, yet they are not. This will be the worst elections conducted. IBC is not straightforward in what they are doing. Okay. Prof, I'll start with your closing remarks. And there's also an issue, just be very brief in terms of the court cases that IBC is also dealing with. One of them is the Sonko issue now. Now he's running for governor in Mombasa. And Sakaja was a bit blocked for some time. Now he's also on the ballot. As a closing remark.
Yeah, quickly, just to tell Omar Danson that when you talk of Chebukati meeting Wetangula, it's not about a supermarket. It's about a meeting that can raise eyebrows. And they need not even meet the two of them. They can do so through proxy. Once we establish that's going on, that's bad enough. As for the court cases, one, I'm happy that the courts are for the first time moving with speed on a matter of national importance. Bring a matter to conclusion quickly so that if somebody is running, they start campaign.
Yeah.
If they are not going to run, they go home and relax and wait for another time. But more importantly, I want to ask the judiciary.
Yeah.
I've been doing this consistently for the past 5 years, telling the judiciary they must know that courts around the world are very hesitant and cautious in dealing with politics. Do not put your hand into politics unnecessarily. If you look at these cases that the court has handled in the recent past about this election, the courts are coming out with egg on face.
Yeah.
Some things are so straightforward. When you come out with a certain ruling, even like the Sakaja one you can see.
Yeah.
Look here, unless somebody moved to court to challenge Q, there was no way a court could pronounce itself on the Sakaja way the way they did.
Okay.
Okay? And although there's a case in the Supreme Court, which we are waiting here today and tomorrow, whatever it is, there are certain issues, if you look at the judgment, you say, okay, fine, fine. So what I'm saying is the courts are better off, in my thinking, not interfering into matters of politics, and you can see even in America unnecessarily.
All right.
And finally, because we must respond to our viewers, because otherwise we shall close this station. Somebody has said, Manyora and blah, 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 how does he know that, Raila will win? If you want to know Raila is winning this election, and this is for Kipto, just look at across the country, and they see that Ruto's people at the coast, Aisha Juma, Kingi, they have been eclipsed. It's like they are not there. Look across the country. Even in Mount Kenya, the Ishungwa, they are not there. They've been eclipsed. It means the guy has taken over the country.
Okay.
And is waiting to be sworn in.
Omari, very briefly.
The role of the judiciary cannot be challenged by anybody. It is their right. You Kenyans gave the judiciary the power to interpret the law and make decisions. Any dispute between contestants, any dispute between IBC and anybody, that is the preserve of the judiciary. The judiciary has done tremendously, fantastically well. The CJ gave directives that by Thursday, I think by tomorrow, all matters, election will have been decided.
Okay.
So that timeline gives Chebukati the right time to prepare his elections. Number two, on the question of Sonko, on the question of Sakaja, that is a judgment of the court.
Okay.
Anybody aggrieved, there are 4 other layers. Go to the Court of Appeal. I've said there are 7 new judges there. Go to the Supreme Court. For heaven's sake, this country will be governed by the rule of law.
Okay.
We are a democracy and respect the tenets of democracy.
Okay.
If you are not dissatisfied, don't go to the street. Kenyans, please listen to me. If you are not satisfied, you can air your resentment, but the only way to channel your dispute is provided by the Constitution.
Okay.
Let us save this country. Let us respect institutions like the IBC.
Okay.
Let us respect the fourth estate, the media. Keep an eye. Whenever there's an issue, bring it to the fore. Okay. And thank you very much for the contribution of the media.
Kipto, very briefly.
I think my parting shot is that, as I have been saying, this is a consequential election. I just want to ask Kenyans to ask themselves a very simple question. Every 5-year election cycle, it is time to review what a government has done and what it has achieved. Can we say as Kenyans that in 5 years we've seen the best of what a government can do? What is the situation when it comes to our economy? So that goes to the decision we are to make. What coalition offers solution? What coalition acknowledges the crisis we are in? And as we go to the voting booth, it will be a question of what then do we want for the next 5 years? Kenya Kwanza has given its position. It has given proposed organic solution. And that is why you see when it comes to the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, it is more solution-based and it is practical and realistic. So based on that, I think it's a question of an election where we are going to an election with a view of ensuring that the Kenyan voter is placed at the center.
Okay.
Importantly, I wish to appreciate something about IEBC. That IEBC has decided to come out and say they are not partisan and they are not answerable to anyone. I would wish that that stance remain. I want to guarantee Herman Manyora, with IEBC standing firm and letting the voter decide on 10th of August, and I will be very happy to sit with you in a panel, this time in the studio. You will see how we'll be smiling. When you talk about saving Kenya, Kenya Kwanza is the one on the table talking about salvation of a crisis that exists. We'll be smiling, and and the beauty, we are all Kenyans. Even if you look at how we conduct campaigns, nothing personal, nothing angry. It is about selling an agenda. So I would want to ask that the media, the voter, the participants, we all participate in this, and voter turnout is important. We can discuss, we can talk, but if we don't show up and vote, it makes no sense.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Herman Manyora, political commentator, Danstan Omari, advocate of the High Court, and Joshua Kipto, Nandi County Assembly Speaker. At the end of the day, you're the one with the deciding vote. Here at the Royal Media Services family, we always just advocate for peace. Remember, your brother is your brother, your sister is your sister, your neighbor is your neighbor. Those are the only people you'll be able to reach on phone when something goes wrong. All right? See you in just a bit. Next is cooking tips. Bye for now.